All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're literally creating a step-by-step survival guide to the brutal yet absolutely fascinating life of a wild stallion. You know, if you've ever watched a wild horse galloping across the plains and thought, wow, what a life of pure majesty and freedom, well, get ready to have that perspective completely flipped on its head. We're going to break down exactly what it takes to survive out there, from the literal second you hit the dirt right up to the bitter end.
To make it in the wild, you've got to conquer 5 grueling steps. Step 1, the wobbly foal. Step 2, the bachelor gang. Step 3, claiming your herd. Step 4, life at the top. And finally, Step 5, the final winter.
All right, let's start with Step 1, the wobbly foal, and surviving your very first months.
So, in this initial phase of your life, honestly, just standing upright in the American West is going to be your biggest daily challenge. You drop to the ground, smack dab in the middle of a wide open field, and boom, the survival clock instantly starts ticking. You're born with these incredibly long, totally uncoordinated spaghetti legs. After a few inevitable face plants in the dirt, you manage to get upright, literally wobbling around like someone trying on a pair of high heels for the very first time. But once you finally find your balance, you locate that unlimited milk tab conveniently positioned right under mom, and suddenly, you're part of a herd. We're talking 8 or 9 mares, some other tiny shaky foals, and the massive lead stallion, who just so happens to be your fiercely protective dad.
Now, your early development is incredibly rapid. You really don't get to be a baby for long out here. You start out on milk, sure, but by 4 months old, you're already taking your tough first bites of dry grass. But the real test, the ultimate hurdle, is your very first winter. Those carefree summer days just vanish. The water holes freeze solid, the grass turns super brittle, and your soft little baby coat has to rapidly grow into a thick, tough layer of fur just to keep you from freezing, while the rest of the herd huddles around to shield you from that biting wind.
During this super vulnerable time, your dad basically serves as an alarm system on 4 legs. Imagine you're just standing there trying to figure out how to chew grass, and suddenly a sharp-smelling wolf appears. Before you can even process it to panic, your dad is right in front of you. He's snorting, he's stamping, he's looking incredibly dangerous. The wolf quickly realizes that tangling with a massive, angry stallion is a terrible, terrible idea and just slinks away into the bushes. In these early days, your dad is your absolute lifeline.
But you know, that protection, it comes with a strict expiration date. Fast forward about 2 years, and we really have to ask, what happens when the stallion decides he has absolutely had enough of you? Because your childhood abruptly ends right here. As you and your buddies hit your juvenile phase, the lead male, yep, your own dad, starts handing out kicks and shoves. See, he's the only adult male allowed in this herd, and he's starting to view you as a budding threat. So you're faced with a tough choice. Try to fight a fully grown, battle-hardened stallion or hit the road. Wisely, you choose to keep your limbs intact and leave.
Which brings us to Step 2, the bachelor gang, and earning your stripes.
So you've been kicked out, the young mares get to stay behind, and you are now wandering the harsh mountains completely unprotected. Surviving alone out there is nearly impossible, so you have to execute your next critical step in the survival guide. First, you stumble upon maybe 5 other young, exiled stallions and form what's called a bachelor gang. Suddenly, hey, you've got a crew to help watch for predators, but it's not exactly a peaceful brotherhood. To survive and thrive in this group, you've got to challenge the horse above you and win rough, bloody fights. This gang operates on a very strict, strength-based pecking order. You literally have to fight your way to the top, taking your fair share of knocks along the way.
Let's advance the story a bit. Say you put in the work, you've taken the hits, and you have finally conquered the bachelor gang to become the undeniable alpha. So what's the next step? Well, your buddies know you're the strongest now, and they're basically breaking out the popcorn. They are so ready to watch you leave the bachelor life behind and claim your ultimate prize, a herd of your own. That leads us straight into Step 3, claiming your herd, and the brutal reality of taking over.
Now, if you think just finding a herd is the hard part, you are sorely mistaken. Taking over is a painful, exhausting game of attempts and severe setbacks. First, you and your gang scour the plains until you find a herd guarded by just one stallion. You step up and the duel instantly kicks off. We are talking vicious hoof strikes and literal biting. Yes, they use their teeth, and yes, it definitely stings. You can expect a grueling 5-minute back-and-forth brawl. And guess what? Your first try, you're probably going to lose. You'll retreat, covered in bruises and scratches, recover with your bachelor gang, and then try again on another stallion. But here's the thing. Every single scar toughens you up. Every defeat makes you sharper.
It actually takes 5 grueling years of these brutal, bruising setbacks. It isn't until you are around 5 years old that you finally possess the strength, the scars, and the sheer fighting experience to defeat a reigning stallion. When you finally pull it off, your old bachelor group breaks up and you claim his mares and their young for yourself. You've officially made it.
Welcome to Step 4, Life at the Top. The crown is heavy.
So, you're at the top. You are the undisputed king of the plains. But as it turns out, being the lead stallion is not exactly the glamorous gig you might have spent the last 5 years imagining. On one hand, sure, there's glamour. You've got your herd. You're at your absolute peak physical strength. And if you get injured, the mares will look after you. But the reality? The reality is that you are now the sole target. You are constantly fighting. You are the one who has to fend off packs of hungry wolves, mountain lions, and every single ambitious young bachelor stallion out there who wants exactly what you just took.
The crucial point here is that your entire existence becomes this exhausting, unending loop. You use those skills honed in your bachelor days to raise your hooves and fend off wolves one by one. And once they back off, you don't even get a minute to rest. You have to immediately guide the herd to a safe spot with enough grass to eat. When winter rolls around, bringing that gnawing, desperate hunger, you have to rely on all the deep wisdom you've built over the years to find hidden spots of food and water under the snow, just to keep everyone alive.
And this brings us to our final stage, Step 5, the final winter and the inevitable decline.
Because no matter how strong you are or how incredibly wise you've become, time and exhaustion in the wild will inevitably catch up to you. By the time you hit age 12, you've fought more battles than you can possibly count. You know every single inch of these endless plains. But your muscles ache. You're slowing down. And out in the wild, nobody cares about your past victories. Eventually, a young, energetic stallion, someone just like you were back at age 5, steps up, just brimming with ambition. And just like that, it's over. It is shockingly quick. You are defeated.
The immediate aftermath is honestly deeply heartbreaking. The mares you spent years bleeding to protect, they just leave with the new stallion without so much as a goodbye. In a flash, you lose absolutely everything. For the first time in your life, you are truly alone. You wander off into the freezing mountains, pushing through the bitter winds with whatever fat you have left stored up, eventually settling beneath a rocky cliff for shelter, with absolutely no one to lean on for warmth.
Which brings us to our final lingering question. As you huddle by that cliff alone, an old wolf, maybe even one you taught a lesson to years ago, appears on the ridge, and this time he's brought friends. You're exhausted, you're completely alone, and you become their dinner. It's a brutal end to an incredible journey. So I leave you to ponder this. Looking at the entirety of this step-by-step guide, is the fleeting, magnificent glory of leading the herd truly worth the unyielding, harsh reality of the wild? It's a majestic life, but man, is it unforgiving.